All right, welcome back. So now what we're going to do is we're going to start talking about graphing linear equations in two variables. So the first thing we do in real life is when we're talking about data and statistics and we're looking at linear relationships. The first thing we want to do is a graphical or visual display, and the most common display or graph that we look at when we're looking at seeing if there's a relationship between two variables such as x and y is something called a scatter plot. Okay, so this is called a scatter plot. Okay, and the scatter plot again is a visual. It's a visual or graph that lets us see if there is a relationship between two variables. For example, each one of these dots in the graph represent a measurement both on x and y. Okay, so we can see if there's a relationship. Now, one of the things we look at is we see if there's a trend, some kind of pattern. Like in this case here, it looks like it's got a linear trend that goes up, left to right. And so what we do is we want to find the best fit line through the scatter plot, through the dots, the best fit line. Now again, I'm not going to go into the details, that's beyond the scope of this class, but that line is called a regression. That's called regression, specifically regression analysis. But the regression line is that best fit line that would go through. So we would find, hey, what line best models the data? So we would sit here and maybe calculate a line that does that, right? And then we would use that line to make predictions about either future values of x, right? Or other values of x that are within the domain, the range of the x values. But anyway, that's what we mean by a regression line or regression equation. So the regression equation would be the equation of line. Now, the equation of the straight line that we're going to start talking about is this form here. It's called a standard form, and this is typically the way we write it. So it would be ax plus by equals c. So the x and the y are all on one side. Notice x and y are both linear degrees, right? So they're first degree variables, so they're both linear. So this is the way we would write a linear equation in two variables in standard form. Okay, and also a and b and c are assumed to be to have no greatest common factors among them. Okay, so no greatest common factors, so it can't be factored anything out at that point. So and a, b, and c are assumed to be integers. Okay, so they could be negative or positive. Okay, or zero. Okay, and so that is what we're going to start with. So this is what we're going to start with, and then we're going to introduce other forms or another form of a linear line, another way we could write it. But we're going to start with the standard form. Make sure we understand how to write these equations in standard form.